tales of
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where we go into an alternate universe, dress up in different clothes, and pretend we're different people, and forget all about our normal motivations.
What does alternate universe Jeremy wear?
Mostly like tracksuits, like a lot of
cool.
tracksuits, like a lot of Adidas matching tracksuit situation. I've got one for every day of the week plus holidays. So
yeah.
Catch me on Christmas in my green and red, man. I'm fucking tight. Let me tell you.
Yeah, got no problem with that. Drip.
What about you?
Seems Riz.
You wear tracksuits all the time, so I'm assuming that alternate Gary doesn't wear tracksuits. What are you rocking?
So ordinary Gary wears pajama pants and nothing a lot of times while recording. Alternate universe Gary dresses in a full tuxedo.
Okay, good
for
enough.
recording. Yeah. Very, very formal. I feel like, you dress for the job you want.
Mm-hmm.
And the job I want is parking cars at an Italian restaurant.
Yes,
absolutely. So I dress up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what I think whenever I see somebody really dressed up now.
Just a valet
just
at an
like
Italian
cars
restaurant.
At a restaurant. Yeah.
Did they have valets at the Olive Garden
clown.
when you grew up? Is that where this is coming from? Is that a thing?
No. Just walking around downtown and seeing them.
Gotcha.
Okay. Down there. When I see somebody very dressed up now, I feel like my initial thought is clown. But that says more about me than anything else.
Probably so. We're back.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about more about Age of X. We're on chapter 3, which is technically the 4th issue of this crossover event where things are haywire with the X-Men and we still don't quite know why. All we know is that the humans are after all of the mutants. Magneto has created this fortress. It's protected by force fields. We're going to get into some of that conversation here in this issue about how those force fields work. And unfortunately, some people have gone rogue. Namely, Rogue has gone rogue.
Yeah.
Just realized
Gone Reaper.
Talking in the same cadence that Alex from Taskmaster talks, so I need to drop this immediately. So gotta stop this.
She's found out some secrets. Things are unraveling. Little glitches in the Matrix are happening. She has found Kitty Pryde, and more importantly, found Professor Xavier.
Yes.
And kind of got bumped back into realizing how things are wrong. And the last episode, she's on the run, and the Moonstar cadre, or whatever it's called, has been sent after her, who on the cover are portrayed as a bunch of like fun-loving teens.
They look like they're having a great time, man. Like looks
they're having a wonderful time.
Just a little murder cadre. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But they are supposed to be serious shit in this. And she's on the run.
We're going to start out with Gambit's narration as he and Dazzler, probably.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely Dazzler.
That's Dazzler.
They're part of the group's defending this fortress against the humans. So they're just basically shooting.
This is Magneto thinking, not Gambit.
Okay. Sure. Yep. You're right.
Because later he thinks about it and he brings up the same line.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just so used to purple, the purple being Gambit. Like that's Gambit's
No, it
color.
should be Gambit.
Yeah.
No, I mean you're not wrong. It's a weird little bit of semiotics.
It didn't make sense that he wasn't talking in his accent in his head, and I just made me think that he was fake. So
I assume that when Gambit's internal monologue is just pictures. More than anything, like there's not really words. They're just images of snacks he'd like to eat.
Just pictures of Penthouse comics, like just naughty drawings from the Penthouse magazine.
Yeah, Tijuana Bibles and food he'd like to eat.
There you go. Yeah,
is the main thing. Like whenever he's immune to psychics.
So this is Magneto talking, just basically asking like, how can these things become routine? Like this pattern that they're in where they wake up, they're assaulted, they defend themselves, and then they just start it all over again. And then as he's watching his, ostensibly like his protectors, right? Like the people that are protecting him, his troops, just slaughter a bunch of humans.
Yep. And so this little quote, no gap in a fortress can be considered small.
Yep.
It's going to come back later. We cut over to the Moonstar cadre, who is in the aftermath of Rogue's escape. There is some weird background art that happens.
Who is Clown Mutant? Who is that guy?
Who's Clown Mutant? Who's the gnome? There's a garden gnome.
Who's the garden gnome mutant? Who's the Clown Mutant?
Yeah.
Who are any of these people? I gotta know.
Who's Tuxedo Mask?
Who's Tuxedo
Later, there's
Mask?
just a freestanding baby that's just walking around with everybody. later. Again, little hints that this is being created by somebody making up on the fly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Clown mutant with the tiny hat is maybe just absolutely perfection for me.
It's beautiful. These are some beautiful fuck ups. Santa Claus is there. You know Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Santa Claus is there.
Santa Claus is here. Sure. Why not?
And Santa Claus, the first mutant. So the important thing here for the plot is that Rogue has taken Chameleon's powers and Domino's powers.
Yes.
There. And she's being smart. I like this detective shit. Like she leaves a trail of blood going up the stairs, but Moonstar sees right through it.
Yeah.
You know, that is too convenient. She's been going deeper. This is there to throw us off the track. She's going somewhere beneath where she will feel safe.
Right into Wolverine's arms. And this Wolverine, we should note, has been hit with the mutant cure. Like that was one of the things that kind of set off this whole war thing that we saw in the first issue. So his powers don't work anymore, and he spends a lot of time cutting himself open to see if they will work eventually, which seems like a bummer of an existence to me. But what do I know about being Logan? I don't know.
This
is
a depressed Wolverine.
Yeah, this is a very depressed. Yeah. This is a depressed Badger that we're under on our hands.
Yes. But he's still a good guy, and he's going to take her in.
Yes.
You know, cut over to Magneto, and Magneto gets confronted by somebody we've only seen so far. We haven't been introduced to, which is Moira McTaggart. In this, who is not acting like herself.
No.
You know, what was that assault? Why are we not out killing Reaper and everything? Again, while there's just a baby wandering around.
There is just a baby wandering around in the foreground.
Big butt baby.
Yeah, just oh my god, in between Legion's legs in the top right, like it's just a baby with an umbilical cord coming out of its chest.
Yeah,
what is happening in this world?
It's fresh baby. Also, in the background, there's another gnome. In the top panel, looks like on the left.
Perfect.
Yeah, very weird. You know, basically, Moira is like, this has to be ended right away. This isn't acceptable. And Moira says, send the Force Warriors after them. They'll just look over the entire fortress molecule by molecule, led by Legion. And this is cool Legion with the hunky, shirtless leather pants, mohawk.
This is normal reality Gary that we're looking at right here. When I'm picturing you podcasting, this is pretty much the look.
This is exactly what I look like.
Good.
Yeah. And Magneto, this is very important for later. You know, he's like, we'll do this and no innocents will be harmed. I give you my oath. And Magneto says, there's no one whose word means more to me, you know, but I won't risk you. Like he reveres Legion.
Yes.
And Magneto says, we can't do that. However, consider her caught because I'm joining the hunt.
Yes. Magneto joins the hunt in huge Bloodborne voice.
Yes. The Magneto for Smash.
Rogue is getting doctored up by Logan, who is like, how have they not found you? And she's like, I've got luck, but it's, Domino's luck. So it's the good stuff. It's the good quality stuff. And she kind of tells him, like, I know what's inside your mind. I know what you've been doing with that knife. But, she didn't specifically, like, call him out or ask for it. And she tells him, like, hey, I'm chasing this idea. Like, I think that there's something weird going on. I feel like there's something, like, when I touched that professor, I knew who that was. And, like, there was something in my mind that I felt I should know that I don't know. Like, something's at work here that I don't quite know. And they're kind of interrupted in the middle of this by, of course, the Moonstar's cadre, because they just...
Well, there's a bit real quick that's important before this, where when she talks about, she says she had a voice in her head when she met Xavier that told her to smash the fortress. And he says that's impossible. Everyone knows that there are no mutant powers that can affect the mind.
Yes.
This is we conspicuously haven't seen straight up psychics.
Yeah.
We've seen Karma and Vertigo,
but
no Emma Frost, no Jean Grey, nothing like that. No Rachel Summers. And this is when they get interrupted by the Moonstar cadre.
Valam, as the sound effects say in the comic books.
Yes.
But they've already left. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not even going to get to that. We're going to switch back over to Madison Jeffries, where Magneto confronts him and is basically like, "Hey, homie, I know you did something. What the fuck did you do?" Because
he threatens him really nastily.
Yeah, like he basically says, like, I could take away all of your toys. Like I could turn this into a storage facility, which seems mean. Like you gave this guy a telescope, and now all of a sudden you need space to put your toilet paper somewhere. Like what gives?
And you're using these things to try to remain human. Like you're losing your humanity with your machine meld. I will take that from you.
Yeah.
If you don't cooperate. And he fesses up, basically. And then again, like a little twist thing, he says one final question and we're done. And we don't see that question.
Yeah.
This is, as we mentioned, Magneto's got some irons in the fire.
Meanwhile, back at Logan's place, Logan is standing on this very conspicuous like trap door as they begin to question him. It's like, she's here, she has to be here. Maybe you can move. And like they're bucking at each other basically. Like, I'd like to, am I gonna have to make you move? I'd be interested in seeing you try, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But of course, our girl Danielle Moonstar just sees right through this. Like, no. This is obviously him trying to bait us into something, and she's already gone. She's already out of here. Like, there's blood over here. We're gonna follow this different trail.
Yep, I like the detective work.
Me too.
She's heading for the front lines, so they call Cannonball, the leader of the general, and say like, she's heading her way, apprehend her. And he basically says like, yeah, we'll add it to the list.
Yeah,
like we can't do that. We're fighting humans.
We have a lot of shit we're gonna do. They chase her down. They use dust to basically like slow her down, and then Moonstar shoots an arrow and hits her like in the back of the back of the shoulder.
And to show her, you can see her cape because dust hits her with it. Yeah. It's the same thing they do in the Dunwich horror. You throw some dust on something invisible.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they hit her. They're gonna fucking kill her.
They're just gonna murder this chick. But of course she's still carrying Domino's luck, and right as they're about to kill her, who shows up but some humans in a giant fucking weird tank. I love the weird tank designs in this so much. The fact that they're not supposed to make sense, it makes it even better for me. I just love it.
It's real good. There. They make short work of the tank here. I like Doug Locke talking to the machines again. Smart bombs. Why are they called that when they're docile and can be persuaded, and makes the bombs blow up inside the tank.
Yeah.
But this gives Rogue time to get away. And Danny says, I'm not worried about it because Dust is still with her.
Yep. X calls over to Magneto. We still don't really know what or whom X is. It's just this like kind of voice.
Disembodied voice.
Yeah. Saying that Legacy has been found, alive or dead. She's still alive for now. And as Dust comes up on her, as Rogue is wounded, she's got a little bit of a healing factor, it looks like, from Wolverine, which is kind of a big deal. I think like it's not subtle at all, but like it's a pretty interesting way to present like, oh, Wolverine still has some of his powers. But as Dust is about to kill her, who saves her but our old friend Gambit.
Yep. By shooting a bullet in her and then exploding it.
Yeah.
Sending her, he's like, you've got plenty of other places to be, sending her particles everywhere. And Gambit also he didn't get touched by any of the stuff, but he also has that, that inkling. He's like, I just saw you in a fight. I knew I'd want to be on your side of the fight.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on, but I remember this connection.
Exactly. Yeah.
We cut back to Magneto watching them, and he goes back to that, no gap in the fortress can be considered small. And our fortress is very, very fragile. It cannot endure. And he says, tell Moonstar to call off the hunt. And he buries Gambit and Rogue in rubble.
Yep.
Basically saying this is how traitors die. Here, making a big public execution.
Yep.
Of them,
and giving everybody the sign of like, this is how we deal with traitors, right? Like this is, and trying to make sure that this fortress that he's trying to hold together with an iron fist is actually holding together. Trying to make sure that nobody has any doubts about it. Unfortunately, we go back over to the Rat Run Cafe, which is Wolverine's home base, where he is in a meeting with what's Cyclops' name here?
Basilisk.
Basilisk. I keep thinking Berserker.
Yes.
Where he's in a meeting
Berserker.
with Basilisk, and they're basically doing that same thing that we'll see them do later on in House of M, which is like, hey, do you feel something weird's happening? Yeah, I feel something weird's happening. Do you feel something weird's happening? Oh, okay, cool. I guess something weird's happening. They both feel like they're not in the right reality at this point.
Yeah, to team up. This made me really miss this dynamic between Cyclops and Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like Cyclops and Wolverine that are at odds. I think that like with the whole, division, divided we stand and Jean Grey school stuff, it went too far.
Sure.
Like we talked about that. Like I think Wolverine just being like, Cyclops, you're the worst person on Earth is real weird. What with all the X-forcing he's done.
Mm-hmm.
And all the killing he's done. And then now that they're just like buddies and they're sharing Jean Grey, like there's not enough tension. I really like this version of them. It's the same version that's in the Grant Morrison new X-Men run, where like they just trust each other a lot.
Yes.
They know each other as being very capable. They're not necessarily friends, but they've just got, this mutual respect.
Yeah, they both
Um,
acknowledge how good the other one is, right? Like,
yeah.
I really appreciate that dynamic, and even in the movie, sometimes like it's presented as like Wolverine doesn't trust because usually Cyclops is much younger than Wolverine, almost always much younger than Wolverine,
Yes.
even without like the weird history of Wolverine. But like he's the newcomer. But I like it when they get to the point where they just kind of naturally trust one another to do the right thing.
Yeah. I really like competent Cyclops.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to see it again. And the idea, everyone's turning against it. Everybody is realizing something's wrong.
Yes.
The center cannot hold. And we're going to watch it fall apart in the next couple issues. It's not a long crossover. We have 5 more issues, 2 of which are weird little side stories.
Mm-hmm. Which are still fun.
Which are still kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Super fun. I think. Mike Carey writes all of this, even though it's ping-ponging back and forth between 2 titles here. Other people were writing New Mutants at the time, but he took over for this. This is very much his story.
God, I'd be so mad if I was like writing the New Mutants and they'd be like, Mike Carey was like, "Hey, I got 6 issues of your book this month or like this year.
I'm just gonna take care of it."
Yeah, I got half your work this year. Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, I was browsing this series, this New Mutant series, and it's not constantly getting sidetracked for this shit. That always happens, but every other issue is like Fear itself, Regenesis.
Oh, man. That's such a bummer.
Necrotia. Like it is a nonstop event roller coaster. Like this title never had a chance.
You gotta feel bad for like the writers who get put on this job to like write, who genuinely want to write Marvel comic books and probably have a huge affinity for these characters. And like I've been waiting for years to give my shot, and like I have this story, and then all of a sudden I have to tie it into, I don't know, Magneto has a hangnail or something. Like I gotta figure out how to.
100%. The first time I remember hearing about that, like the very famous example of that is Peter David during the 90s with his X Factor run, which is like really good. The Havoc X Factor, that original one, getting sidetracked for shit. So if you read those crossovers at the time, many of which I'm like a big fan of, it's like Executioner Song, that shit. His issues are really awkward and barely tie in.
Yeah.
Because he had other stuff he was working on. Like he did, he does not care for these distractions.
It's sad. I started his X Factor last night, the 2019 version, I think.
Okay.
Which is pretty interesting so far. Like it's Polaris and Gambit and Quicksilver and the Saber Group, like the corporation that's sponsoring everything. It's pretty interesting. I like Peter David's writing, especially on X Factor in general. Me too. So I've only read like 3 issues, and then I was like, oh, my body, it's exhausted, and I have to go to bed because I'm old. And so yeah, it was a good what I read of it. Thank you everybody for listening to us ramble about the X-Men. We very much appreciate it. If you want to support the show, ratings and reviews are easily the best way to do it. Tell your friends, your family, your coworkers, your cousins, your nephews, your step uncles, everybody in your family. Tell them all about the podcast. You can also support us directly by going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and donating a little bit of your cash. That goes a long way to supporting the network, and you get all kinds of exclusive content, including the new Baldur's Gate 3 podcast, which is called Real Lich Hours, coming from Gary and Cole, which I'm very excited about. It's from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's basically like a bonfire side chat style look into probably one of the most in-depth CRPG games ever created, right? Like this is one of the craziest games that has ever been made.
It is one of the deepest games I think that have ever come out, like in terms of detail and player reactivity. It's different than Bonfire Side Chat. That was the original idea, but it's actually pretty different than what we do normally. So like there's a segment of each episode that is a let's play that, talks about what we did, but the rest of it is like source book shit. So like, let's take this opportunity to talk about skeletons. Let's take this opportunity to talk about this god in the Forgotten Realms. Yeah. Let's talk about this class. Like, how would you tactically use this class in this game? How would you use this spell in this game? Like the first episode is like a history, like episode 0, but the actual first proper episode has like a 10 to 12 minute aside just about the command spell.
Okay.
Like, how do you tactically use this spell? Why is it good? Yeah. So it's a lot more tactics wonk and lore wonk than that.
That excites me. That,
more zoomed in.
That excites me a lot, because that's, as someone who's who has always had a stumbling block when it comes to these kind of games. Like I've just always had a difficulty getting into them, and I'm having the same experience with Baldur's Gate 3, where I've already restarted once, and like I'm doing better than I was before just by having a little bit more familiarity with what's happening. But like the whys and the like, okay, I can do this, but like, why would I want to, and like, when would it be advantageous for me to do so? Is something that I'm really missing in all of this stuff. So
Hopefully it would help. Like, this is one of the things that it's kind of fun for me and like gratifying, as much as this is, it's a thing I'm a little bit loath to say. But this is, my time to shine when it comes to being good at video games.
yeah, this is your jam. This is your lane.
This is totally my jam.
Yeah.
I've got tactics brain. This is the same way that there are, people who master Souls likes and shit. I'm not, a master. There are people who played through it with one character on the hardest difficulty. I'm not there yet, but I think about this stuff a lot. Like this is what I like to think about in video games. So it's I think it's more fun to talk, or it's easier to talk about than like, lobosing a Souls game, because so much of that is reaction and reflex. This is tactics. Like, this is like, what are the situations and scenarios in which this might be useful?
Yeah.
We have a whole section on pushing, eventually, that comes up later. Like, it's that kind of thing.
Oh, be my pusher, baby.
So,
be my pusher man.
Yeah. Push it real good. The goddamn the pusher man. Yeah, very excited for that to release. I hope that people like it.
I hope so too. When is that? It's probably already out by the time this is coming out.
It's already out by the time this comes out, for sure.
Okay.
I don't know the exact date.
Okay.
Soon, like maybe day after tomorrow as we're recording.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, good.
So
2 weeks ago.
Might be Sunday.
So go look for it, everybody.
Yeah.
It's in your RSS
Yeah,
feeds.
it's gonna
now.
be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on Sundays. So because it's taking the bonfire size chat slot until we get some DLC news, which suckers
didn't happen last night. Didn't happen at the Video Game
Yep.
Awards.
Recording this the day after the Game Awards.
Did you?
Where the games come out to shine.
I sent you a text last night. I meant to tell you not to bother to watch the trailer if it wasn't like your thing, because it was a real nothing trailer. But like a Arcane making a Blade video game is something that's really, really strange. Like a third-person Blade game from Arcane is something that I did not expect to happen.
I'm way curious. I really want Arcane to, everyone hates Redfall. I really want them to have a win.
Yeah, me too.
Because I need them to keep making games. And I, as a big fan of Spider-Man and very excited about Wolverine, like giving good developers these properties is, two great tastes that taste great together to me.
Yeah.
I am excited.
Especially after,
and I can see it working for Blade. Like you couldn't, an Arcane game where you were Superman wouldn't work.
Exactly.
Like it's not, but Blade has to like investigate areas and spaces are where Arcane is best in class.
I will say that dude that's working on the game, I don't remember his name, but it's a French guy that works at Arcane. He came out with the full fucking Blade trench coat and everything, man. That dude is so excited to be making this video game, and that's the energy you want, right? Like that's like you want somebody that's super into Blade to be doing this. And so
yes, yeah. Very, very excited.
Yep.
So the in general, like I wouldn't watch the Game Awards with somebody else's eyes, but I am happy about that announcement.
I kept putting it on last night in between episodes of Better Call Saul, and Autumn would just look at me and be like, what are you trying to make me do? Like, what did
really doing this?
Why are you? And it just so happened, like every time I put it on, it was some weird anime thing. Like it's some weird anime, some mobile game with a long anime. Like she's like, this just looks like garbage, and I'm like, it's because it's an iPhone game. Like it's just
they're constantly talking about Honkai Star Rail.
Yeah, whatever the fuck that is.
The other thing that's so funny is that they're reading their awards and stuff, and how fully like a third of them are esports.
Yeah,
and like miss me with like just a universe that I couldn't care less about. Like I know that has its audience, and I no hate, but for me, I could not care less about that. Esports Team of the Year. What does that mean?
What does that even?
What even video game are they playing? Like
they had an award for Esports Coach of the Year.
Yeah. It just seems ludicrous to me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like I can't even like get any radish for like an NFL coach, and I feel like they probably have a more direct impact on the game than an esports coach. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's just not my lane, so I don't know. But I'm the exact same way. But at the same time, Gary, I would want them to do more an in-depth look at like an esports team and what makes them great than just giving me a commercial over and over again for fucking Fortnite or something. Like I would appreciate that level of video game awards, like looking at video games as opposed to what we have, which is just a fucking commercial. So it's
commercials. Yeah, it's always, you get the same I've ranted about this many times. You get the exact same thing if you just look at the winners afterwards.
Yeah.
And look at the trailers you're interested in. And then you don't have to subject yourself to all of the Jeff Keighley-ness of it all.
Dude, I happened to turn it on when they brought Hideo Kojima out. And
sure.
And it's I mean, it was just this so dramatic with the PT door, and then like Keeley is just I don't know how he stops himself from dropping on his knees right there and just blowing the guy on stage. Like he's so close to doing it. Like I think it's next year it might actually happen just live on stage, and then bringing Jordan. Then they bring Jordan Peele out, and everybody is just fucking jerking each other off about everything, and I'm just like I get it. Like there's an appeal to me for Kojima and Jordan Peele to be working on a video game together. Like that's exciting in a way. Like I am interested in that particular flavor of bullshit. I don't need to see any of this what I'm seeing right now. Like I just got to turn this off.
Well, also I love Jordan Peele. You know, I'm not a maniac. Like of course I do. But the idea of video games having to borrow people from other industries.
Yeah.
To have like a kind of prestige they don't have is really stupid.
Yeah, why is Timothy Chalamet there? Like why was Timothy there last night? What was he doing at the Video Game Awards?
It's a medium that is deeply embarrassed of itself.
Yes, absolutely.
And somehow, you know, it should be, but if it is, it shouldn't act like this. I don't know. There's a whole lot that's irritating about this shit to me.
Also, like the same thing happens with comic book movies too, right? Like when you have comic book movies making fun of their names or the comic book outfits or whatever, like it's the same vibe. It's like, oh, yes. You're in the mainstream, so you're trying to think of like your source material as you're too cool for it, and that's most of us are here because of the source material, my friend. Like that's we all
everyone
like this
will
stuff.
Sniff that out.
Yeah.
Everyone immediately sniffs that shit out.
Yeah, and it's way cooler just to be into the nerdy shit at this point. Like you should just acknowledge that people are into this stuff. Anyway, we're on a fucking patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. We love you. We'll be back next week with more Age of Eggs. Jesus Christ. Two old men yelling about video games. The podcast.
That's most podcasts, to be fair.
It's true. Yeah.